And hello again. I was recently watching Robin Harbour's 8-Bit Show and Tell channel where he was doing something called the Coding Golf Challenge, which is where you try and write a program using as fewer characters as possible. And the exercise he was doing it was to tell you what colours the squares were on a chessboard. And he did it on the Commodore 64 in the BASIC on there, and he got it down to 57 characters, and I thought I'd see how I could get on with BBC BASIC. So to illustrate what I mean, here's a program to display a chessboard. That's not actually part of the challenge to display it, but here's something to illustrate it. So if the user was to type in A1, the program would display the word dark. If they were to type in A2, the program has to display the word light. If they type in B2, it has to display dark, and B1 it has to display light, and so on. Like I said, displaying the board itself isn't part of the challenge, but if you're interested, here's a program to do that in BBC BASIC. If you don't know BBC BASIC, there's sort of two main things you might need to know to understand it are Mode 7 is the teletext mode on the BBC that is used for text only, and it has two characters I'm using to draw the board, 32, which is a space like normal in ASCII, and 255, which is the white box that I use for the squares. And the other thing is that you might not know that the VDU command is the same as print CHR string, but you don't need to, it's smaller, you don't need to put the brackets around and so on, and it will also take multiple characters if you separate them with commas, and that's something that's quite useful on the BBC because you often need to omit long sequences of control characters to do things like set the palette on the screen. But anyway, let's move on to the challenge itself. So if I start on line 150, and I'll do this in a very similar way to the way that Robin did it. I'm going to input a string from the user of what square they want, and then I'm just going to take the ASCII value of the first character in that, and like Commodore BASIC, ASCII, if you give it a string more than one character, it will just take the value of the first, add together the ASCII value of the second character in the string, and again, like Commodore BASIC, I can get the second character by using mid-string without a third argument, just the character I want to start at. I'm going to AND that sum with 1 to take the least significant bit, and then I'm going to print either the word light or I'm going to print the word dark. And if we run that, and I type in A1, I get the word dark. If I type in A2, I get the word light. B2, get the word dark. B1, get the word light. So that program works. Obviously it's not particularly compact. I can do some work to make it smaller though. So I'm going to use the basic editor for that. I'm also going to remove the part of the program that displays the board. So the first thing I can do is get rid of these spaces because they're not necessary. So they're very easy to get rid of and make the program a bit smaller. There we go. Now the other thing I can do to make it smaller is I can remove these brackets around this addition, because the addition function has a higher priority than the AND function, so it will do that first before it does the AND. We don't need to prioritize that. We also don't actually need any brackets around the A string argument or whatever the argument to ASCII is, because that doesn't need them. You do need them around the mid-string function though. And finally, you don't need the word then after an if statement. So I exit this, and the other thing I'll just do is renumber the program to start at 0 because the line number is part of the score. If I run that, A1 is dark, A2 is light, B2 dark, B1 is light. So that is down to, well, lines on this are 40 characters long, so that's 40. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 50. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 60, and 1. So that's 61 characters long. But we can actually make it a little bit shorter because you can abbreviate commands like you can in Commodore BASIC, and on the BBC you abbreviate them by typing in as many letters as you need to get the command you want, and then put a dot. So input can be abbreviated to I dot. So that's A string, if can't be abbreviated, ASCII can't usefully be abbreviated, Mid-string, interestingly, can be abbreviated as M dot, and you don't need the opening bracket because that's part of the shortcut. So I'll do that, but you do need the closing brackets, and can be abbreviated as A dot. Just need the 1. Print can be P dot, else EL dot, P dot, and dark. So if I list that, I should get the same line out. And just to count the number of characters, that's 40, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So that's 47 characters long. So we've beaten Commodore Basic there, just doing it that way round. So that's good, but we can actually do a little bit better, because the exercise actually says you have to take the input from the user using standard input, and I don't know if what I'm about to do is allowed, but it does come from standard input. So what you can do also is BBC Basic has a function called get, which is similar to InKey, which it already also has, but the difference with get is that get will wait for a key to be pressed. So I can actually do something like that, and if I type in A1, then I'll get the 2 characters. So this will let me get the ASCII value of those 2 characters, and it will wait for each character to be pressed, and that will avoid us having to slice the string up. So this does make it quite a lot better. So if I just type this in with spaces in, so you can kind of see what I'm doing a bit more easily, and then we'll squeeze it in a moment. I can do if get plus get and 1 print light else print dark, like that. If I type go to 2, now the get won't echo the character I press on the screen, but it will print the results when I do the print. So if I do A1, that gives me dark, A2 gives me light, B2 gives me dark, B1 gives me light. So let's just crunch that second line. So spaces go as well, like that. And let's come back out and count the number of characters. We're down to 41 now, so that's a lot shorter, considerably beating Commodore Basic. But of course we haven't even used any of the shortcuts for the commands yet. So if I type in line 3, a similar version, if get plus get, I can abbreviate and, like that, and I can abbreviate those, like that, and I now end up with a line 3 that's the same as line 2, but obviously many fewer characters. If I just count those up, that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 20, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 30, 1, 2, 3. So that's 33 characters, and I think that should work. That's A1, B1, B2, and let's do A3, and let's do B1. B1 is light. So there you go. So that's pretty good, 33 characters for a basic, and I compared to some of the other examples where the number of characters gets down that low, this is I think pretty good, because it's actually not that obscure what's going on here. So one final thing, just in case you didn't think I was really using standard input and standard output in that last example, and also as an excuse because it's Econet week. We had the Econet LAN party at the National Museum of Computing at Bletchley Park last weekend. I thought I'd get some Econet involved and run the program over the network. So on the BBC Master, I'm just going to save the code on the file server. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to use Econet to remote control the Model B from the master, like that. So now I'm typing things on the master, but I'm really sending commands to the Model B and having the output returned back. So if I look at the directory on the file server where I save the code, I can get the Model B to load it. And there's the program. And if I run the final example, A1, that's a dark square, A2, that's a light square, B2, that's a dark square, and B1, that's a light square. So there you go, the standard input and output are being redirected over the network, so that genuinely is running on standard input and standard output. So hope that's been enjoyable, interesting, maybe even useful, and see you next time.